I'm going to all 4 parks today to ride the best and worst rides in Disney World. Hello, Mayhem fam. We're back with another ride challenge where I am headed to all 4 parks in Walt Disney World today to ride the best and worst ride in each park as voted on by you. We asked the Mayhem fam to vote on what they think is the best and worst ride in each of the Disney World parks, and today I'm going to ride all 8 of them. Plus, I'm going to tell you if I think the Mayhem fam got it right or wrong when it comes to these 8 different rides. You know we'll be sharing tips and tricks along the way. Gonna have a lot of fun in Disney today, so let's get to it. First up, the attraction you voted on as the best ride in Disney's Animal Kingdom. We are headed to Africa. Bet you can guess where we're going, and honestly, I'm surprised because I thought we'd be going to Pandora right now, but no. Strongly voted Kilimanjaro Safaris is the best ride in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Expedition Everest Legend of the Forbidden Mountain TM, second best. Avatar Flight of Passage, third best. It's no surprise probably that I'm very excited to ride Kilimanjaro Safaris today, one of my favorite rides anywhere. Kilimanjaro Safaris is your flagship attraction here at Animal Kingdom, opening day ride. This is that 20-25 minute safari tour through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. This is the attraction where you're gonna see real life elephants and lions and rhinos and hippos and crocodiles and zebras and giraffes and so many other amazing creatures. As you may know, it's very popular. It usually has one of the longer lines in the park for good reason. Definitely a great one to use your Lightning Lane on if you're booking Genie Plus, or a great one to rope drop because the animals tend to be more active either first thing in the morning, I've actually seen the lion up and roaring that early, or towards the end of the evening, around 5 or 6 o'clock, because that's when the animals start to get fed and they're very active and excited to eat, which I can relate to. Today, I'm going kind of in the middle of the day, which is actually my least recommended time to go just because it's so hot. A lot of the animals are backstage in their cool environments as opposed to being front and center on set, but we'll see what we see today. And either way, it's always a good time to visit Harambe. Kilimanjaro Safaris, check, done. Do I agree with the Mayhem fam that that is the best ride here in Animal Kingdom? Yes, I do. This is the part of the video where I remind you that best and favorite are not the same thing, and worst and least favorite are not the same thing. When I consider a best attraction, I'm trying to look at things objectively and think about what has the best technology, what's the most impressive, what is the most unique, what's the best experience. When you look at favorite, you usually look at nostalgia, what rides you have great memories riding with your family, which rides make you laugh and smile, etc. So it can be hard to say this is the best ride when it's not your actual favorite ride. But luckily here, this is my favorite ride at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I think Kilimanjaro Safaris is so incredibly impressive. It's a massive attraction. You could fit all of Magic Kingdom into that attraction alone. I talked about this in the oldest, newest video because this was the oldest ride here at Animal Kingdom, but this was actually Walt Disney's idea in the 50s and they didn't have the technology or resources to make it happen, and now they do. The fact that Disney has figured out ways to kind of entice the animals to come be on stage, like the elephants and the lions and the giraffes, the fact that they have so many beautiful animals roaming about, it's an absolutely incredible experience, and I fully agree this is the best ride here. I would also agree that Everest is the second best ride here. I think the technology on Everest is amazing. I think it was better when Betty the Yeti worked, of course, but that didn't turn out so well. And I think the physicality of moving through that incredible set piece is very impressive. I would actually put Dinosaur number 3. I think those large animatronics and the technology of the Jeep are more impressive than Flight of Passage, which I would put at number 4. And I know people love Flight of Passage. I'm not saying it's a bad attraction. It's a wonderful attraction. It is lovely. It is relaxing. It is beautiful. But the technology is basically Soarin' in 3D with a weird seat. It's not, to me, as impressive as some of these other attractions. But feel free to disagree down in the comments. Now, a couple tips when it comes to Kilimanjaro Safaris. That was not my favorite safari I've ever been on by a long shot. Again, I went in the middle of the day. You couldn't see a lot of the animals. You didn't see the cheetahs. You didn't see the lions. You didn't see a lot of the savanna animals. There's only one zebra kind of tucked away. So if you can go in the morning or the evening, you're going to get a better safari. Additionally, sitting on the right-hand side Not for me. I'm a left-hand side girly. You are going to be on the better side for the majority of the viewing exhibits. You're going to be on the better side for the lions, for the most of the elephants, for the first rhinos that you see, for the cheetahs, for the giraffes. So if you're taking video or pictures, you just want the better view, try to sit on the left-hand side of the vehicle. And now I've done enough stalling. It's time for the worst ride in Animal Kingdom, and bet you know what it is. Unless you're new here, in which case, welcome. We're happy to have you. You probably guessed that the worst ride in Animal Kingdom is Cali River Rapids. Now, I'm again a little surprised by this choice. I know it's my personal least favorite ride, not only here in Animal Kingdom, but all of Walt Disney World, but I'm actually surprised that you voted it as the worst ride because I thought for sure Triceratops Spin would have that in the bag. But it was a vast majority voting for Cali River Rapids, which means I get to ride it now. Cali River Rapids has a 35-inch height requirement. It's a round river raft ride where you could get completely soaking wet. And because it's a round river raft ride, there's no rhyme or reason as to who gets soaking wet. So let's go. Now, one thing that puts Cali River Rapids in contention for worst ride at Animal Kingdom, beyond the water ride part, is the fact that it usually has a pretty long line and it's a very short attraction. And to me, that's just like cost worth doesn't add up. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Peter Pan's Flight in that way, a rock and roller coaster plus water. It's one of those rides where you're like, oh yeah, we're going to go down a big drop and it's going to be so fun. And then you don't do any of those things and it's over and then you're soaking wet. Look at this. Look at this horrible line. Also, while I was walking towards the front, some of the cast members laughed at my sweet rain jacket, and they were like, you look like you're going to have fun. And I was like, I won't. And they started laughing. We had a good chat. And then a gentleman came up and said, is this the line for Everest? And they were like, no, keep walking. And I was like, imagine how mad you'd be if you thought you were getting in line for Everest, waited in an hour-long line, and then it was Cali River Rapids. Can't even imagine how mad I would be. Credit where credit's due. The queue, like all of Disney's Animal Kingdom, is themed beautifully. We are going through an Asian temple. And right now I am personally praying to the Cali gods that they do not choose me as the one who gets the most wet on the ride.
A boat escalator.
I think the Cali gods must have heard me talking smack on their ride because I got drenched on the little dip down. So wet. My shoes, my skirt, my bag, so wet. I truly dislike that attraction, but I'm trying to take my bias out of it to decide if it is truly the worst ride in this park. Here's the thing. I can make logical arguments for why this and why Triceratops Spin should be considered the worst ride in Animal Kingdom. Triceratops Spin, it's a generic Dumbo clone. It is just a spinner attraction like Dumbo. However, I don't think simple necessarily means bad. I think to the right audience, folks with young kids, that attraction is necessary because it's wedged in between Dinosaur and Expedition Everest, and you need something for the littles to be able to do that's not going to have a long line, that's going to be entertaining for them, while the older kids and adults are able to do some of the thrill rides nearby. Plus, I think the entire theming of Dinoland USA is incredibly underrated, and a lot of people don't like it. They think it's kitschy and carnival, but when you learn the whole backstory, it's actually very, very interesting. So I don't even want to say the theming's bad because it actually isn't when you know the whole story of Dinoland, which I've talked about in different secrets videos. Cali River Rapids, inarguably more themed than Triceratops Spin, the attraction itself. Beautiful queue, like I pointed out, beautiful elements all over. You at one point, go through the gibbons, which is really, really neat, but it's an incredibly short attraction. You could get incredibly wet, which is a huge con to me, but the fact that you don't know who's going to get incredibly wet is the issue in my opinion. Additionally, there's no big real thrill. You could wait in a very long line. It's an hour long right now, And there's no real drop moment. There's no Splash Mountain big drop. There's not even a drop as big as Popeye and Bluto's over at Islands of Adventure or Grizzly River Rapids, the equivalent of this in California Adventure. So that's hard to justify too. Plus there's this like used to be stronger, but now kind of muted anti-logging theme that gets lost on a bunch of people. So I could argue that time spent in line versus the attraction you get, this is worse. So, I personally think Cali River Rapids is worse, but I want to hear your vote down in the comments because I could make an argument for either one, but I truly believe this is the worst attraction. All that said, it's time to head to our next park. We're off to Hollywood. Made it to Hollywood. This isn't Hollywood Studios. This is obviously Magic Kingdom. You see what happened is as I was leaving Disney's Animal Kingdom, I got an alert on my phone from My Disney Experience that changes had been made to my Rise the Resistance Lightning Lane. Oh, spoiler alert, Rise the Resistance is one of the rides we're going to ride at Hollywood Studios. I bet that's not that shocking. Anyway, that means that the attraction was closed for technical difficulties, so they issued me a lightning lane that can be redeemed at any point today when the attraction comes back up. So instead of going to Hollywood Studios and just hoping that it comes back up, I went ahead and came to Magic Kingdom, and then I'm going to go over to Epcot and then end at Hollywood Studios since now I can go whenever I'd like. So here at Magic Kingdom, again, we've got two different attractions. We're going to ride the worst one first this time. Tons of attractions in this park, more rides than any of the other Disney World parks. So what do you think the best and worst is? Start your guesses, and we're headed to them now. First up, the worst ride in Magic Kingdom, according to you, is the Tomorrowland Speedway. Now, I'm not surprised that Tomorrowland Speedway won the award for worst ride, if you want to call it that. I am surprised, however, that it had more than 4 times the votes for the number 2 spot, which was Astro Orbiter, which is also in this land. Tomorrowland Speedway is the go-kart race car style attraction here. It has a 32-inch height requirement to ride at all and a 54-inch height requirement to ride alone. If you meet that 32-inch height requirement, you are able to drive, although your feet may not reach the pedals, so mom or dad or whatever bigger person rides with you can hit the gas, and the little ones are able to steer. Now, this attraction does give a lot of people a headache because of the gasoline smell, and I realize as an adult with a driver's license, this is far from exhilarating. But this tends to be a fan favorite for the little ones because they don't get to have a driver's license, and this is very exciting for them. So we'll see what we think once we take a lap around the track. Oh, no. None of them tries to. This kid and I are equally good at driving these cars. I don't know what that says about me. I promise I can drive a real car better than this. Life is a highway. I wanna ride it all night long. You're going my way. I wanna drive you all night long. Just raced around Tomorrowland Speedway. I've, first of all, never been in one of those cars that has the alignment correct. There's no possible way to drive it correctly and not hit the barrier. I feel sure of that. Second of all, I actually don't think this is the worst ride in Magic Kingdom, and here's why. Yes, as an adult, I am not going to ride this attraction 90% of the time. The times I would consider riding it is back before Tron opened, and I wanted to see what Tron's canopy looks like, especially at night. And in the holiday seasons, they have done an overlay where they do Christmas music and lights and Christmas effects on the track, and that's fun. But I think, one, it never has a long line, which is great when you're in a park catered towards little kids. It's a great filler attraction for them. Number 2, it's a longer attraction, so it feels worth your while if you've got a little one who's excited about driving. Number 3, I think the worst attraction in this park is Magic Carpets of Aladdin. And I know I gave Triceratops Spin the benefit of the doubt of being a kid's attraction in Animal Kingdom, even though it's just a simple spinner. But we got 3 of those simple spinners here in Magic Kingdom. You got the OG, the classic, the clear winner, Dumbo. You've also got Astro Orbiter, which I can agree is not a top tier attraction. The loading and unloading is very, very obnoxious, but Astro Orbiter at least has really good views, and it's more interesting, I think, than Magic Carpets of Aladdin. Plus, I gave Triceratops Spin bonus points in Animal Kingdom because while it is a simple spinner attraction, it's planted in between thrill rides that have height requirements, so it's a good family ride. That's simply not the case here. Magic Carpets of Aladdin is planted in a land that only has family-friendly attractions. Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse, and Enchanted Tiki Room, not a single one of those has a height requirement. So I think Magic Carpets of Aladdin takes the cake for the worst attraction here. It's just a duplicate of 2 other rides in the park. You're already in the most family-friendly park there is. So while Tomorrowland Speedway, not a must-do, not high ranking for a lot of people, this is the family-geared park, and little kids love race cars. So there you go. Now we're headed to the best attraction in Magic Kingdom, as voted on by you. There's a lot of good ones here. What do you think it was? Hi, Princess Tiana! You look beautiful! If you think Haunted Mansion got voted as the best in Magic Kingdom, you're right. It's time to go be foolish mortals and see the 999 Happy Haunts. In another landslide victory, Haunted Mansion won by almost double the number 2 spot for best ride in Magic Kingdom. That number 2 spot was Pirates of the Caribbean. And interestingly, number 3 was Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's interesting to me that nothing from the last 40 plus years made the top 3. I guess that goes to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Haunted Mansion is a family-friendly attraction. There's no height requirement, and you are going to board a legendary Doom Buggy, which is an omni-mover vehicle that's going to take you on a tour of the Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion, as you can imagine, gets pretty popular, so it can get a longer line. It's a great one to use a lightning lane on. Maybe not as top tier need to use lightning lane on, like Peter Pan's Flight or Jungle Cruise, but certainly in that second tier of importance. This attraction is probably the most popular in all of Disney lore. I say that all the time. It's definitely got the biggest cult following, and it has a new movie coming out later this year. I'm pretty excited about that. No offense to Eddie Murphy, but the first one is, well, it's a movie I've seen, and I'll leave it at that. Super excited about that Hatbox Ghost cameo. I think Jamie Lee Curtis will crush as Madame Leota. But can a 50-year-old opening day ride really, truly be the best ride in the original Disney World park?
By ringing the bell. As long as we
Haunted Mansion done, check it off the list. An absolute iconic classic. Again, most beloved ride in the Disney community, but is it truly the best ride here at Magic Kingdom? Yes, I think it is. I think Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean is the correct answer to this question. There's a reason that this has been so popular for 50 years, and Pirates opened just 2 years later in 1973, and it still holds up. Both of these attractions are iconic, classic Disney ride vehicles. You've got the Omnimover here at Haunted Mansion. You've got the boat ride over at Pirates of the Caribbean. You've got incredible audio animatronics. You have original music, but they've also plussed both of them up in the last several years or so to make sure that they are still up and coming with the technology. You've got the addition of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie characters over there, and then here you've got pluses to the queue, some just general enhancements to make it look better and pop. But what's truly amazing about both of these attractions is that they have held up for this long. The effects on Haunted Mansion are so simple yet so effective that they are still dazzling guests all of these years later. So yeah, I do think these are the best rides in the Magic Kingdom. I think they are the most classic rides at Disney. I think they are truly a feat of Disney Imagineering. And yes, there are newer attractions in this park. Tron Light Cycle Run, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and those are great and those are fun and those are delightful, but I don't think it gets better than this original Disney Magic and almost original Disney Magic over at Pirates of the Caribbean. Easy choices here at the Magic Kingdom, but we are headed to the next park, and hopefully this time we'll end up where I say we're going to, because we're off to Epcot. Hey look, we made it to the right park this time. Welcome friends to Epcot, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Here you've got some of Disney's newest attractions, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. You've got classic and nostalgic attractions like Spaceship Earth. You've got beloved favorites like Soarin', and you've got one of the most nauseating attractions in all of Disney World, Mission Space. So what have you said is the best and worst? We're headed to Best first this time. Why? Because our lightning lanes. For right now, we gotta go. For the best ride at Epcot, the Man Fan voted on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, and more than 5 times victory. That's right, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind had more than 5 times the amount of votes of the number 2 spot, which was Soarin' Around the World, and more than 8 times the votes of the number 3 spot, which was Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is the newest ride here in Epcot, opening up last summer. And it is a brand new, state-of-the-art, never been done before roller coaster vehicle. The Omni coaster vehicles can move in a full 360, but they never spin completely around like the teacups. They just turn you to what the Imagineers want you to see as they tell the story. You are joining your favorite Guardians to save the galaxy. Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, Gamora, Drax, the whole gang's here. There are 6 different songs you can get. They're completely at random, and it is a super fun coaster. Now, it's also super popular, so the only way you can ride this is to join a virtual queue or purchase a fancy ride lightning lane. I've done tons of Genie videos that'll explain that process. Also note it has a 42.42-inch height requirement. As just a brief refresher, though, the virtual queue can be accessed at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. For 7 a.m., you do have to have an Epcot park reservation, and for 1 p.m., you need to be inside Epcot. For the fancy ride, resort guests can purchase at 7 a.m. Non-resort guests can purchase at the time the park opens. What song do you think I'm going to get? Cast your votes now in your brains, and I'll let you know. I hope it's Conga, because I haven't gotten Conga in a really long time, and I think that one's really fun.
Hey, Dad, what is your boy? This plan is never going to work. Rocket!
Useless to follow me. What is that noise?
It's gonna stop rock and roll from existing.
It's about time. Of course it's about time. Have you not been paying attention? Pain, but not for long.
And welcome to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
We have no room in our ship for these new
Drax, it's an honorary title. They're not gonna...
Oh, that ride is so fun. I got Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which I know is a popular choice for people's favorite song. I am not those people. I like a zippier song. I like a September. I like a Conga. I like a Disco Inferno a little bit more. But always a great time on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Do I think this is the best ride in Epcot? Yes. Not only do I think this is one of the best rides in Epcot, I think this is one of the best rides in Walt Disney World. The technology is amazing. It's state-of-the-art, never before been done. I think the rewritability of trying to get different songs is so fun. There are so many great Easter eggs and details in the attraction. One of my favorite is when the Guardians pull up at the beginning of the attraction. They are listening to an 80s rock-style version of Universe of Energy, which is the attraction that was here before. If you want more details like that, by the way, we've got secrets videos where we spill all kinds of fun Easter eggs and backstories and details and imaginary stuff. So check those out if you're into that. But I think this attraction's amazing. I think that the Man Fam hit the nail on the head on this one by not only voting this in the top spot, by voting it exponentially better than anything else in Epcot. I could not agree more. And now I might throw up. That's right. You voted with almost 3 times the amount of the second place attraction, Mission Space, as the worst ride at Epcot. And I understand why. Mission Space is one of, if not the most nauseating attractions in all of Walt Disney World. It's the first and only attraction to come equipped with barf bags inside of your space cockpit. When this attraction debuted, it only had one version. It was so intense, so many people got sick that they eventually had to make 2 different versions, a less intense mission and the original mission. The less intense mission is called your Earth mission. It's the green mission. You have a 40-inch height requirement for that one, and it doesn't do as much spinning to create the G-forces as the original, more intense mission, which is the orange mission. That one has a 44-inch height requirement, and on that one, you are going to Mars. Now, I do agree this is one of the most nauseating attractions ever built. I'm even going to do the orange, more intense version right now because that is typically considered the worst side. But do I think this is actually the worst ride in Epcot? Worse than Journey into Imagination with Figment? We're going to find out. What I will say about this attraction is because it makes so many people nauseous, it doesn't usually have a long line. 15 minutes and 5 minutes right now for the 2 different sides. If it does have a longer line, though, and you are using Genie Plus, keep in mind you can only use it once at each attraction, and that means you have to pick one or the other. You can't use it twice on both sides. If you aren't sure how intense this attraction is, I recommend, or maybe not, for you to keep track of how many times a cast member, a sign, or a screen tells you that this is the more intense mission, and that if you have motion sickness, are afraid of small enclosed spaces, you should not ride this ride. They tell you that a lot.
Intense training, or proceed to the advanced training lab.
They're telling you not to
offers
do orange if you're
alternative
worried you're going to
space
get
training
sick.
activities
So.
for all astronaut candidates.
I'm very hungry, but I've been avoiding eating because wish me luck.
Commander, just remember your assignments. First stage separation and manual control.
You are go for launch. We have main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Control, the tower is clear. They're all yours.
Pilot, engage second stage rocket. Now. This meteor storm is directly over your Mars landing site. Proximity alert.
That ride is the worst. But I don't actually think it's the worst. But it is the worst. You know what I mean? The fact that they don't stock ginger ale in the gift shop of Mission Space should be a felony. Do not eat and then ride that ride for like 2 to 48 hours prior, I would say is safe. All right, obviously that ride makes me incredibly motion sick. It makes most human beings incredibly motion sick if you ride the orange side, especially the green side's not too bad. If you are fine on like any run-of-the-mill simulator, you're probably fine on the green side. But the G-forces they're able to generate on the orange side are so intense. Blah. But because of that, because of how intense and technologically advanced this ride is, there's no way it can be the worst ride at Epcot. I don't even think it's close to the worst ride in Epcot. I actually think Test Track, its next door neighbor, is a worse ride than this. Because Test Track is just a car. Yes, you get to go fast on a bank outside, but it's a car. This is like Disney worked with NASA for over 5 years to make this technology, and astronauts have been on this and said it's the closest thing they've ever felt to going to space as actually going to space. And I say that a lot, but what better time to showcase that this is not the worst ride at Epcot than to show how incredible the technology is. Though it does leave you feeling the worst for most of us. I actually think the worst ride at Epcot is Journey into Imagination with Figment. And before you come for me, Figment fans, I'm not saying Figment the character. I'm saying the attraction. Most people who like that attraction are attached to a former version of it, the version with the Dream Finder, or they really like the character Figment. But that attraction of itself is just a somewhat generic dark ride. It's very outdated. Figment should get some love. And if you are a Figment fan, you should be rooting for Figment to get some love and to get some makeover. And maybe let's bring Dreamfinder back. I think we'd all be in agreement with that. But I think Journey into Imagination with Figment is the least impressive ride in Epcot. So to me, that one would get the nod for the worst. And I'm sorry, please don't yell at me in the comments. Or you can't. That's fine. It's all good. But we've got one park left. 2 rides. Same theme. Any guesses? We made it to Hollywood Studios for real this time. 2 rides remaining. I already told you one of them is Rise of the Resistance, which should not be a surprise to you. But what I haven't told you is that the worst ride in the park is the closest vote we have yet. There are less than 10 votes separating the number 1 and the number 2 spot here, and both of them are space themed. So think it over, cast your votes in your brain, and we're headed to the worst ride in the park. If you guessed Star Tours, the Adventures Continue TM, you are correct. In a less than 10-point victory, if you want to call it that, over Alien Swirling Saucers, Star Tours, The Adventures Continue TM has been crowned the worst ride in Disney's Hollywood Studios, according to you. Now, this is a pretty hard park to choose a worst attraction at. There are a ton of bangers here. Beyond Star Wars, Rise of the Resistance, you've got Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, Slinky Dog Dash, Toy Story Mania, Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. There are a lot of very, very good rides here, so it's hard to pick the worst one. But I do think the 2 you put on top of the loser pyramid, I guess, are the correct choices. Star Tours The Adventures Continue TM is a reimagined version of the original Star Tours, which is the oldest ride in this park. Nowadays, there are over 50 different combinations that you could experience on this adventure because they have different beginnings, middles, and ends. So you never know which planets you're going to go to, which characters you're going to see. It's also in 3D now, which makes it more nauseating, but for some, more exhilarating. I mean, we already rode Mission Space, so this should be easy, right? Star Tours The Adventures TM has a 44.0-inch height requirement. And I credit where credit's due. It's got some pretty cool animatronics both in the queue and on the attraction itself. It's got a very good C-3PO. So I appreciate that. I also see not Admiral Akbar probably, but a relative. As you can see, Star Tours doesn't usually have a very long line at all. It's pretty rare to see it over 30 minutes, which makes it a good filler attraction if you don't get nauseous on this kind of ride.
Hold on a second.
What? What do you...
I would love to see the universe. Yeah, but as you can see, I have this very important
Oh my God, that's like that's the original Pixar beat. That was awesome. It moved so quickly I couldn't get a closer shot on my phone, but that was the original Pixar beat from one of the original Pixar cartoons in the checked luggage. That's awesome. Now, it's always been my dream to be the Rebel Spy. I've never been the Rebel Spy. Maybe today's the day. We'll make it all worth it. That's 2 for 2 doozies in the nausea department. And the worst part is I didn't even get any footage of it. But it was for safety, which is fine because the cast member made sure everyone took anything in their hands and put it under, as well as any crossbodies fanny packs, which I normally put my ears under, and they ask you to put bags and things under, but I've never had anyone actually ask to take the crossbodies off. So, hey, happy to comply with the safety rules, but I didn't get any footage of the sweet ride I took with Rey piloting the Millennium Falcon. And then it ended with the big battle from the last Star Wars movie and put us right in the middle of it. And then the finale was on Batuu, which is cool because it's cool to connect these two rides, even though they're not actually connected. Also, though, the big battle made no sense to me because Rey was piloting the Millennium Falcon in front of us, but yet you could see Palpatine's lightning. And I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan, but I'm pretty sure Rey was dealing with Palpatine, not piloting the Falcon in front of us. So I don't know. I don't know that much about Star Wars. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do think it's cool that they put you into scenes and locations from the Star Wars movies, especially that one, because if I know anything about Star Wars, it's that Star Wars fans love the last trilogy, specifically The Rise of Skywalker. And if there's any film scenario with any characters they'd want to be put into, it would be the return of Emperor Palpatine in the final chapter. I know that for sure. Now, is this the worst ride in Hollywood Studios? It's certainly my least favorite ride, and the ride I would skip every single time. If I was not making any kind of content, I would never ride this ride again, and I'd be happy about it. But do I think it's the worst objectively? No, I don't actually think it is. I think that despite the technology making me very nauseous, the 3D technology is good. And I think the fact that it is different sections combined together to, again, create over 50 different ride scenarios, that is very cool. That is something no other attraction has. The re-rideability here is off the charts. It also usually doesn't have too long of a line, making it a great filler ride. And if you're a Star Wars fan and someone that doesn't get nauseous, it can be a really fun ride. Pretty much everyone else in the cabin with me got up and said they loved it. I just get really sick on it, so it's a no for me. I think the worst ride in the park generally is Alien Swirling Saucers, which pains me to say because it is a Toy Story themed attraction. And I do think it has somewhat of the same appeal going for it as Triceratops Spin over at Animal Kingdom, in that there's not a ton of physical rides in this park for the younger members of the family. However, you do have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, you do have Toy Story Mania. It's just a simple spinner on turntables ride. Don't get me wrong, it gives me the giggles and I laugh and I enjoy myself immensely every time I ride it. But when you look at everything objectively, I think that is the worst ride in the park. But now we're off to the best ride of the park. And I'm not even going to pretend like I didn't already tell you what it is or like you wouldn't know anyway. Rising Moon, friends, and welcome to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. This is lovingly known as Star Wars Land. We are on the planet of Batuu and headed to Star Wars Rise of the Resistance for our final ride today. Again, no shocker that this one, holy moly, it is a 20-minute wait right now. I have literally never seen that except for at an after hours, so I said this before in a different video I shot this week at Universal, but it seems like mid-May is a fantastic time to visit. Don't come for Memorial Day, obviously, but after spring break, before Memorial Day and summer starts, could be a sweet, sweet time. Anyway, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, absolutely the best ride in the park. I don't even know I'm going to pretend like it's not. What surprised me most, though, is that it beat out the second choice by almost 5.5 times. Second choice being Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, followed by Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Love that top three, but let's go make sure this is really the best ride or something. Rise of the Resistance is a fancy ride, meaning if you want to bypass the usually quite long line, you're going to need to purchase it separately from Genie Plus. Again, resort guests at 7 a.m., non-resort guests when the time the park opens. On busy days, that often means non-resort guests don't get the chance to buy it. However, this is an incredible, incredible attraction, and if you do not purchase a Lightning Lane for it, I recommend rope dropping it either with the early park admission or when the park officially opens. You may wait in a little bit of a line, but it is worth it, worth it, worth it. Obviously, it clearly works to stay late and ride it last thing in the evening as well, but keep in mind this is a very technologically advanced attraction, so it breaks a lot. And if you wait all day long, A, it may have a long line because people are finally coming back because it broke earlier in the day, or B, it might break and not recover and then you wouldn't get to ride it. So to be safe, if this is on your must-do list, I say buy a Lightning Lane or get here first thing. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is a 44.0-inch height requirement, and it puts you inside a battle between the First Order and the Resistance. You're going to see characters from the new trilogy, such as my space boyfriend number 2, Poe Dameron, Kylo Ren, Rey, BB-8, and it is unlike any other attraction I've ever been on. Multiple ride systems, trackless technology, incredible animatronics. It is so fun, so amazing, absolutely jaw-droppingly incredible. And TBH, I haven't been on it in a while just because I never want to wait in a long line or pay for the fancy ride. When my family went on it in California, I babysat my youngest 2 nieces because they weren't tall enough to ride it. And but I'm really excited to ride it right now.
A drone droid. You're...
Hey, you're not authorized. Wait, those are the prisoners. We have a breach in detention block 3.
an alternate route. Who picked these 2 droids anyway?
I see no evidence.
Now!
Sound the alarm! All personnel to their stations!
Sir, the prisoners have escaped.
How brave, but ultimately hopeless. You will tell me the location of the secret base, and then I will destroy you and the Resistance.
It truly does not get better than that. I'm being dramatic right now. I understand. But it is just so good. It's unlike anything else you're going to do. And it has so many wow moments. I mean, I think most notably when you walk into the Star Destroyer and all the stormtroopers are lined up, it is like jaw-dropping. But I also think people overlook sometimes the moments like when Kylo Ren does the Force choke on you in the interrogation room, or the transition from the interrogation room into getting in your droid vehicle. I had the best cast members tonight, which definitely can help plus up the experience. I didn't catch the name of the First Order cast member because he surprised me.
Get along, spy. Nothing to see here.
But Aiden, the Resistance fighter, you were awesome. You totally made my night with all your enthusiasm and telling us, may the Force be with you. That makes me cry too when the cast members are really into it. It truly elevates the experience.
May the Force be with you.
Obviously, the lightsaber in the ceiling is amazing. The drop is amazing. Just the little details too, like when you get shot at by the stormtroopers, you can actually see the holes appear in the ship. Technologically, it's got so many different elements going on. Some of the best animatronics in Disney World. Obviously, the droids are amazing. Obviously, Kylo Ren is amazing, but Lieutenant Beck is an incredible animatronic as well. You've got the flight simulator that makes it really feel like you're moving. I mean, the trackless technology blows my mind. The drop, I mean, it is huge practical sets. It is everything. It is so, so great. You don't even have to like Star Wars to think this is an incredible attraction. No notes. Should absolutely be considered the best, not only in this park, but I would say in Walt Disney World. And no shade to Tower of Terror, who I absolutely think deserves to be on this list of some of the best. I absolutely think Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway deserves to be on this list as well, but this one definitely deserves to be on top. Well, friends, we did it. Went to all 4 parks today and rode what you said was the best and worst ride in all 4 parks. For the most part, I'd say the Man Fam got it right. A few places where we disagreed. But hey, let your voices be heard down in the comments and come hang out with us on Discord. We have lots of fun chats with the Man Fam right there. Follow us on social media, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And until next time, friends, I'm Molly, and it has been so magical. Now go watch the Oldest and Newest challenge. Bye.